Welcome to this day that year. Today is September 27th. So let us find out what are the important historic events which happened today. And as you know that these are the incidents which we have selected specifically for our program. And if you have any opinion comments, you can join live. So let's proceed with our program. Well, first information is from the year 1290. It's not a very good information. It is actually near the South China, which reportedly killed, a massive earthquake, which was reported and recorded in the history, which killed nearly 100,000 people. And imagine in the year 1290, the population wouldn't be so much as comparable to today. So killing of 100,000 people would have been a major catastrophe in the year 1290 on September 27. Let's move to the next one. Well, we know that Mexico is an independent country, but the independence of Mexico as a country did not happen without any revolution. So we talk about the American Revolution, we talk about French, and also the most talked is the Indian fight for independence from the British. However, Mexicans also fought the Spanish rulers, and on September 27th, in the year 1821, they were finally freed, and they were declared a separate country. This victory, march to victory for the Mexicans, was led by Augustin de Iturbide, who basically defeated the Spanish army and declared Mexico as a separate country in the year 1821 on September 27. Let's move to the next one. Well, this is about the Industrial Revolution. We all know that the real speed of Industrial Revolution was given by the locomotion, and the first locomotion which assisted in different mining projects and different ferrying of people from one location to other, and also huge movement of goods from one location to other was propelled because of the invention of locomotives. And the credit goes to George Stephenson, who actually produced locomotion number 1. This was an experimental locomotive, and the first commercial was known as Rocket 1. But this one was as a demonstration and sort of a competition between different scientists who could produce a viable steam engine for locomotion. And that was done on 1825, September 27th, when George Stephenson proved that his design is the best among all. And the basic difference between his design and the others was he was able to pressurize steam at a very high pressure and reheat the steam so that there is more punch given to the piston which was present in the engine. So this is a very important incident which happened on September 27, 1825. Let's move to the next one. Well, this is about our beloved scientist, Albert Einstein. And today, on September 27th, 1905, he published his first paper in journal called Annalen der Physik. And his name of his paper was, Does the Inertia of Body Depend Upon Its Energy Content? And basically in this document, he released his famous equation, that small tiny little bit equation called E is equal to mc square, which made him very popular across the world. And this small equation basically rewrote almost half of the known physics, laws of physics. This is an important incident which happened on September 27th in the year 1905. Let's move to the next one. We know cars, cars used to be very expensive earlier when they were released, and they were mostly custom made. And cars were replacing the chariots basically. So it was logical in those days that the chariots, which were owned by the rich and famous, will replace their horse cart with a petrol engine powered car. But the problem was they were very expensive, and Henry Ford for the first time realized that the success of cars would be if you actually produce them in mass. So Henry Ford basically came out with a process which we all follow in all production everywhere across the world, which is called the conveyor belt process. That means you're not producing, one engineer is not working on one car, but different engineers are working on different parts of the car, which is later assembled. So that way you can speed up the production. And by following this process of production line using a conveyor belt, Henry Ford was able to churn out multiple cars in a day. In fact, there was a time when he was able to churn out one car every 20 minutes from his factory in Detroit. And that changed the whole scene for the first time. He was able to sell his car for less than $250. Can you imagine, when the others were selling in that time for $12,000? And just to give you perspective, in the Americas, in the year 1908, you could buy an apartment in a mid-class New York society for about $500. So you can imagine the difference, how much the cars were expensive. They were many times more expensive than a cost of the apartment in a expensive city like New York. So Henry Ford changed all that, and he made cars a commodity by using the conveyor belt process of production. And his first model, which became very popular, called Model T, rolled out of his factory in the year 1908 on September 27th. So it's important incident, friends, which affects all of us. Let's move to the next one. We have similar to cars, we know that aeroplanes have also gone through their genesis, and initially they were using the single engine aeroplanes because they wanted to keep the weight of the aeroplane light. But then somewhere people realized that if you have more power, then you can have a much bigger aeroplane. And that is when the humans started adding extra engines to the aeroplane. And the design, because of that, also changed drastically. So the first twin engine flight was conducted successfully in France on September 27th, 1910. And this was a test flight. So this was to prove that you can have multiple engines in an aeroplane. This will improve the weight carrying capacity. You can also make aeroplane larger, and two engines, even though the weight will be more, but they will provide more thrust and more power to the aircraft. So this was done in 1910 on September 27th. Let's move to the next one. Believe it or not, United States of America gave recognition to Republic of China way back in 1928, way back, almost like 3 decades before they actually got the independence from the British. So the Chinese got their recognition from USA 3 decades before India got the independence. So this is one important information which most of us don't know even. We don't even consider this as an important information. But this recognition came on September 27th in the year 1928. Let's move to the next one. Well, how can we not ignore the Nazis and the Second World War? Today, in the year 1940, the Nazi Germany, Italy and Japan, and there were a few other ancillary countries, they formed a pact and they called themselves Axis Power. This is to counter the threat from the Allies, because all others were allies like British, France, US. They were allies. So they, Nazi Germany, Italy and Japan, they formed this alliance called Axis Power, and they signed this agreement for 10 years in the year 1940 on September 27th. Okay, let's move to the next one. Again, If you're movie buff and if you're the James Bond fan, then this information is relevant. We all know that the most famous Bond was Sean Connery, and we all love him. Even today, whenever we watch his movie, we love his style, charisma, and his macho-ness. And most of the character of James Bond that we see today actually was given by Sean Connery. The character of the Bond was actually built up by Sean Connery, and he acted in many movies. Finally, he was replaced by Roger Moore. Roger Moore was also a very famous Bond character, an actor who played the Bond. But in the year 1982, Sean Connery was brought back, and in the movie called Never Say Never Again, very very popular movie filled with a lot of action and usual James Bond style a plot. Never Say Never Again became very popular, but Sean Connery was brought back because of the mass appeal of his acting and his personality. For the last time in 1982, the shooting started on September 27th. The movie was eventually released in 1984. So, friends, this is some information for specifically if you are a Bond fan. I think you should know all these facts. So, moving forward, if you have any comments or any suggestion about our program, you can engage with us by sending your thoughts, any suggestion or comments. But thanks for watching, and I will catch you again tomorrow sharp at 10:30 with more findings, more historic events which happened on September 28th. Please take care, and bye bye for today.